Eh bien, bonjour à tous. Merci de prendre place pour...
Good afternoon, and we're going to go on the World Forum with a World Forum roundtable. This afternoon, we want to be able to discuss with you. We will speak about emotion and what is their impact on society transformation. I am Florent Levavasseur. I work in Utopie, which is a group of consultants. We support companies on subjects like CSR strategy, and we act as a think tank. I'm also founder and director of a department at the EFAP. We have three people on stage. We have Anaïs, which is will be connected remotely. I'm Raphaël Laca. I'm the director of the Palais de Tokyo, which is a contemporary art center in Europe. And the economical model is a hybrid one. And I'm responsible for the link with companies and cooperation with the private sector. And so I organize all the events, mecenates, and partnerships. Marie-Aude, I come from the art gallery Trifolium, and we want to be an impact gallery, and we thought it would be important for us to use emotions in order to ask ourselves questions on societal transformation. And we have the art gallery in order to open people to artworks. And also here we speak about art and artists in the World Forum. My name is Thierry, and I'm honored to be the director of this site, and I'm very proud to welcome the World Forum. And I am also the general director of the ERD, and I'm also the founder of Side Invest. And even for a finance person, the notion of emotion is extremely important. Anaïs, you're connected remotely. Yeah. Well, I'm Anaïs Kazbak. I am the director of Louni, that was founded in 2014. And it's a company that actually was founded after the taking consciousness that children should not be exposed to screens too long. And so we have different tools that for children, and we have a catalog of stories for children and a series of albums. So a very large number of stories for children, and we have narrators and comedians that actually participate in narrating all the stories. I am the responsible person for Louni, and my objective is to imagine a new way to develop the company in a sustainable way. And
Espérant la suppression de ton poste, si je comprends bien. Merci pour cette introduction.
so thank you for this introduction. And before we start with the 4 participants, you can see that the different experiences from all the participants is quite enriching. I would like just to make a point on a few points. We have Jemery Lamry, so he is speaking about the 4 key skills and the link between machine and artificial intelligence. And we understand also that cooperation, critical spirit, and communication and creativity are key skills to reinforce the unicity of man in this new world. And creativity is an essential key point of the transformation actions in the world. When we speak about creativity, this means game. And Olivier Cristofini spoke about it in an article, and he spoke about the emotions that are very important in order to transform the consumption habits. And he worked on an example in Roubaix with the Stake Zero Waste. And experience show that it is using games and producing either positive or negative emotions we're able to generate a change in habits, and it really transforms people, because so games are very useful, and through games we transform the world much more than just by communicating. So creativity is essential to transform very quickly and very efficiently our habits. I use the word quick because we speak of emergency, but we need to change the way we do things, and we must do it very fast. So to abide by the Paris Agreement, the only year we did it was during COVID, and there we met the trajectory of Paris. But we need to change the way we consume, and this is the theme of our debate today. So before leaving the floor to our guests, I would like to talk about the Palais de Tokyo, and it's the small treat of institutional permaculture. And really, without going into utopia, we want our exhibitions. They're not just dedicated to some people, but open to all, and become a real experience for people. We want to modify the imagination of people in order to change horizon. So in the Tokyo Palace, could you tell some more about it? and of the role of contemporary art. So I suppose you all know that art is linked to emotions. We all met the artwork, and whatever the type of art, for art and emotions, you probably experienced them either in the Palais de Tokyo or in the Louvre or somewhere else. And this probably had an impact on your consciousness. So artists have an impact on our consciousness, and they are lever in order to modify reality. And this is very important because we modify our imagination. Isabelle Laville, it's what she calls the brain print. So how do you modify, how do you change the brain fit and leave an impact on consciousness and transform society? You can have different themes. You can find different themes in the Palais de Tokyo. And the Palais de Tokyo is not a museum, it's an art center. So we exhibit emerging artists, and in general we supported the artists during the creation process. We had an exhibition which was called Reclaim the Earth in 2021, and there we had art objects that were produced and that were in link with the earth and the living space. And we generally exhibit artworks that are in link with specific themes. And as an contemporary art exhibition, we want to act on the imagination. So in the way that we want to have an impact on our processes. And this is how we got to the idea of institutional permaculture. And the idea is to find inspiration from permaculture, from agriculture, and then take care of the space, the visitors, and the artists coming to the Palais de Tokyo. For example, we speak about zoning, the theory of zoning, and we got out of the logic with contemporary art, and we try to think about how we can divide space and diversify the usage. We have 22,000 square meters in the Palais de Tokyo. We have some space which is a space dedicated to artists so that they can rest, imagine, and work. And we also have biodiversity with plants, but also shapes and spaces. We also work on the notion of ecosystem in order to share much more with the partners, and instead of avoiding and sharing instead of having competitors. And then we also try to find the link with the company. So you're a pioneer institution, and you look for the human. And Mario, Do you have this same type of inspiration? And what were your sources of inspiration at the beginning? Well, more or less the same, I must say. Basically, at the beginning, we wanted to find a link of the emotional impact with very concrete actions. And everything started from an extraordinary person I met of the Jane Goodall Institute. It's an NGO, and they told me, it's what you do, it's fabulous, but we cannot open to a public which it's very theoretical, and it's very difficult to touch the heart of the people. And actually, we were aware that in every exhibition, we were able to get to the heart of the people. For example, in the Château de la Fontaine, there's an exhibition, and we have a person. I am in front. They send me a message saying, I'm in front of the artwork, and I started crying. And in Lille Artup, there's a person I know very well, and we are in front of an artwork, and he starts, speaking about himself. So there, I really realized that art was very important, and in order to get to the heart of the people. So our exhibitions get to the heart of the people, and then we give small anecdotes in order for you to understand the message, because in the end, the idea of the impact is transforming it into action. And we are going to act with artists. We support them. So we donate, but not only donating, we also implement something real. So, for example, we're going to tell you how many monkeys you will be able to save, or how many schools you will be able to open. And this is to give a positive impact. And we don't want people to feel guilty, but we want to onboard the world and the people as much as possible. So when you go out on the right, you have this artwork, and go and have a look at it. So Anaïs, can you listen to us? Yes, we see you. So we found it interesting to make a link with the product and what is the impact or your economical model and of your product on families, on children. Trying to speak a little slower, because translators otherwise won't be able to follow. So I will speak about ourselves. So being ourselves is at the heart of the behavior of the children. At the beginning, we had noticed that screens had an impact on the activities of children, and this was an evidence that came, and this after several tests, this is something we got convinced. And l'UNI, it's the imagination is taken into account, and the imagination is what makes the link between normal and abnormal and we start from something invisible, and then it's our capacity to... Attends, je lâche là. And at the moment, imagination allow us to imagine two types of future. And how can you deal with the future if you have no imagination? In Looney, we think that fiction always had a large responsibility, whatever you do. And the ambition is also to give a message or an idea that will lead to some concrete actions. And what will allow us to transform the energy is, and children are first actors, and he's able to act directly, and imagination contributes to it. And developing creativity allows children to solve problems and to develop other mechanisms. And in terms of transitions, this will allow also to acquire the language. And for example, enriching its vocabulary. We had a report dated back to last summer, and at the beginning of the elementary school, there is a difference of 2,000 words between the children that are the best or the worst knowledge. Thank you very much. Elle a accéléré, c'est tout.
Il ne faut pas lire.
Vraiment de toute la richesse de ce que tu nous dis un petit peu avec un ton un peu.
So speaking of language is present everywhere in our society, so it's very important to have a rich and varied language. So what is the impact, for example, when you say that masculine is more important than feminine? Or so in the language actually allow us to represent reality. And we, in our company, we try to compose and create stories that are dedicated to children 3 years old. And those stories are just transmitting values, and that will also lead to environmental values. Ellie, surtout. It's very difficult to be synthetic, and I would just add one thing, because actually I could stay here and speak all afternoon. We spoke about emotions, and linked to emotion we have the pleasure, which is also very important, and it's fundamental in the development of children. We created a label 2 years ago, and its objective, Looney Loop. It's the name of the label. It's Looney Loop. And this label had the objective of to provoke some astonishment, and it's a collection that will allow the children. You can either listen to this exhibition either in the museum or outside the museum. And It will allow children to develop its imagination, because young children are just like sponges. They just absorb everything. And once again, we are not all used to go to cultural events, and having this kind of content is a way for children to have access to culture. The idea is to be cultural events should be welcoming, even if sometimes children have an idea of getting annoyed. And sometimes the discovery might come from children first, because they could take their parents with them. Thank you very much, Anaïs. And I see that emotions are very important. And Thierry, we didn't ask you anything at the moment. Could you describe your activities in your different activities? So creativity and emotions are two major worlds. So you could have asked me what is the relationship between finance, emotions, and culture. So finance is something related to figures. Business is selling something. And we also have a platform which is working with companies. And I think that emotion leads to change. And here in Entreprises et Cités, we are in the territory, and we want to experience different ways of entrepreneurship. And we cannot go on if we don't experience new models. Yesterday, I was a member of a jury that was rewarding startups. The two winning startups, and some of them were very good, but the two major projects, for those people were pitching, showing emotions. People had one of the persons that came on stage was speaking about breathing problems. And for example, she was her idea was to teach people to breathe again. And then the second person was a social assistant, which created a structure in order to teach people to come back home after having spent some time in hospital. And I'm really convinced that emotion is a source to change. And my role as Entreprises et Cités, we must, in a way, forecast all these changes in companies, in the behavior of entrepreneurs. And COVID has really been an accelerator, a very profound accelerator. And we need a change, even, and more agility. But emotion needs being able to listen to people. But emotion needs that you're able to kind of dialogue, not only with people, but with your environment. And emotions opens your mind. And it's also your role, because people should be listening more and more to their environment in order to go to change.
We are present in the HR world, in other worlds, and the emotions elements that shock me. We work with precarious people living in difficult situations, like handicapped. Tomorrow we have the DoD Day. We will welcome people here with handicap. And it is pleasant to meet them and spend the day. They listen to us. They are happy to be here. And it provides a lot of emotion. That's great. But beyond this, I would insist on the fact that in my work, I can accompany a lot of startups. 80% of them work Eurotechnology and so on. There are people that are CSR native. It's in their genes. It is the successful of their company and their area. Then we need to be actors, we need to be stakeholders. It's not inclusive. It's not only finance, it's not only business. It's an environmental success, because a business that is degrading humanity is not going to exist anymore. That's very clear. It's the interest of the business to work on environment. It doesn't make any sense. But beyond all this, we need to accompany this transformation. When I meet startup, they really, the 5-minute pitch they do with a lot of emotions, they convey the idea that their product is not only a financial, a technical, an innovation project, but it is also conveying the envy to send a message to other people. Why? Because the customers, their customers, it's me. I don't want to buy and purchase things with somebody who is not convinced. Somebody sells something, he needs to convey the emotion. So business depends from emotion. Finance depends from emotion. It might sound queer, but that's the way it is. I have a heart like anybody else, and change is dependent from emotion. Right. There are key competences of humans and students. They need to develop their competences and skills in a critical spirit. Yes. I would also speak about human being management. There are a lot of management schools where you learn a lot of rules, how to organize a meeting and so on. What I'd say simply, and I managed around 300 people, I worked with even bigger teams in the past, a manager who doesn't know, cannot listen, cannot show its emotions, cannot say, I don't understand what you mean, there is a disruption between the management and the staff. And if there's, and we're not going to move forward. I think emotions are important. You need to bring your teams on a sustainable project. With regard to the finance, and the environment is important. I read a report where one of the main causes for youth to be committed is environment. You were talking about recruitment, management, and financial results. It is a main subject today to integrate it in all our models. Thank you very much. Would you speak about social impact of your actions in terms of arts? How do you measure this commitment of the visitors or the social impact concretely? As we are working with NGOs during the last exhibition, we saved 5 chimpanzees and sensibilized 800 children in school children in France. So that's very pragmatic. It's clear. Apart from that, I received messages from people who tell me last time I was very much touched and changed my mindset. For instance, Jérémy Delcarte Forum of the Two Caps. It's a work where you enter a glass cave, and the person says, I really like these photographs. It remembers me when I was young, with my father who went. And so he recreates a souvenir with this, his memories with this cave. This cave doesn't exist anymore. I'm sorry, I'm telling him. And then I know that these seeds have been planted. He will remember this. It is in his mind. The other impact, as a gallery, we touch a large public, but in the companies we have another impact with the staff, because once you have a label and you have CSR convictions, you can make sure your staff is convinced and committed. Then it's a huge impact, because via the artworks we show in the company, the staff is going to be in interrogation, will be asking questions, and it will the partners and the suppliers too. That's very rich, very interesting. It's an example. We worked at Utopia the last years. Twice we welcomed a dialogue between a pianist and an actor who was reading philosophical text around women's rights, and then a piano piece. And there is a dialogue 1.5 years. And there are a lot of emotion generated via this dialogue between text, very strong text of Georges Sand on environmental change, which gives the brain time to digest what has been heard. It generates a lot of emotions and facilitates the transition. The two artists who did this is Patrick Cheder and pianist Jovion, who was playing the piano. It was fascinating. These photographs from Jérémy, we worked with the Parisian Philharmonie. Lucie Leguet, who is the chief. In this magnificent room, there was a concert of the Planets of Olms from Lucie Leguet, and the photographs of Jérémy were projected. It was really thrilling, and it was a kind of a dialogue, really impacting. Well, that's very interesting to do things together between the different arts and worlds. Raphaël, the Sustainable Palais, the Tokyo Sustainable Museum, could you explain a little more what's generated this strategy and actions, and connect us more to what we are discussing? We spoke about permaculture, institutional permaculture that is transversal. It has an impact on the brain print. There is also the footprint we have to deal with the contemporary art, because we're part of the problem, and we need to act on our own impact. 2 years ago, we reflected on the issue. At the Tokyo Palais, we have a long history of reflecting over responsibility and history. However, if you look at modern art today, there is collective for students that is called Wake Up Your Culture, as raising the right questions every year. But today, 80% of the cultural sector are not trained to CSR subjects, and half of them do not know what CSR means. So we are an industry that is very late on the subject. Therefore, we thought, in order to work on this sustainable we need to have the initiative from the private sector, and with a business model, 70% with our own funds. The companies are our friends, are our helpers since years. They're part of our ecosystem, and in order to not only have a logo on the champagne and on our posters, we wanted to associate our exhibition with the company. So we created the company over 2 years, which we launched 2021. Utopia is part of it, and we asked the companies double investment. On one hand, money, because we need money in order to develop our brain prints, the work with the artist, celebrating imagination, and to accompany us and support us with their staff and with the expertise of the company on a specific transformation of the Palais. On one with two circles, one on ecology, one on the society. So Utopia is working with us in the circle art and ecology, and we were funded by Utopia. But the staff of Utopia, whom we know well now, because we have meetings with them, we work together. It was in the ecosystem. And thanks to you, we made our carbon balance, and we have a climate strategy for the Palais de Tokyo. Socially, we work quite the same. We have companies who are working with different types of public, and we try to address a very wide public. So we have mediation for the Foundation Swiss Life, who is working with the French Alzheimer Foundation. So together, via this network, we build workshops for people who are Alzheimer. In the Palais de Tokyo, at the very heart, we are thinking about mental health, depression, burnout, anxiety. And for us as an institution who works alongside our time, we want to be present here at this stage. We need to be aware of mental health. We want to be aware of a diversity. What are the norms to judge art, for creation, for new storytellings? We want to care for the institution and be open to this neurodiversity. Therefore, we opened in September a space called the Hameau, which is a little village with a mediation program dedicated to education, inclusion, and the well-being via art. It's a set of workshops on these for the public I just mentioned, and we work together, and we want to open up to a larger and wider public. Thank you very much for all these actions in the Palais de Tokyo. This is really impressive to listen what you did in order to launch a new dynamic. Anna is therefore. Let's go back to you. You were talking about neuroscience and behavioral science. This is part of your model to respect as much as possible the child's brain. They are very small still. Can you tell us more and give us some advice for the entrepreneurs or the students in the room here along those creation dynamics? The virtuous circle, we're talking about the CSR. What are the advice you would give to try to squeeze actual models and make them more responsible? I think it's very straightforward. We have more to lose if we wait. We need to begin. There is climate inaction, and the cost is by not acting. What is going to be more complicated, anticipate or work when it's too late? There are a lot of companies who have not a lot of resources. If we need to adapt suddenly, it's much more complicated. I think there's no secret. There's no hidden method. You need to work with what you have and develop whatever you have, your toolbox, your knowledge, your technical knowledge, the suppliers, a community that supports you. It's important to have other partners, peers, because it's an approach that's very heavy. It is urgent. You need to be rapid, and sometimes you squeeze between inertia and urgency. As I said, and somebody else spoke about it too, we need to understand our raison d'être, the value proposal. What is our criteria? Because once you can answer this, you are long-standing. Above all, in a model like yours, which is rather low-tech, instead of a lot of screens and complicated machines, to go back to basic and leave the child free to choose. Could you tell us how you achieve to to keep your position in this over-screened kind of universe by creating values? It might be interesting within this low-tech movement, and which is very important because we need to go towards more sobriety. I have two examples, two anecdotes. When the founders began in 2013, we were in a world where there were only screens, and people would tell them, why would you like to do this? Why not do an application? Why a physical tool? There was a non-understanding of what they were meaning to do. The intuition as such was that it's one format, not diversifying format, in order to make sure it has not negative impact on the brain. Hence, they followed their intuition and they won an award. Therefore, all the children of the exhibition came in to see them, and they went to Nutura and Découverte, which is a big shop, to know whether they would be interested to sell theirs. And they were sent to the director, who accompanied them in order to launch a product in their shops. Second, regarding low tech, it needs to be simple. It is a very simple product. There are three dots, and that's it. It is very easygoing for the child. And in 2018, we were in the top of the most sold products. We produced, stayed in China at the time, and we wanted to go back to France to produce it here. We had some more money, and we produced a version 2. Are we going to add vibration and little lights during the stories? Do we have some visio? Do we add things? And then we thought, why is it so smart? Because it's so simple. So let's stay of something simple instead of trying to do something very superficial that is not the right answer to our needs. It would be too much a gadget. Let's do an eco-design, improve things, and localize our production in France. And in 2020, we produce Luni here because we want to keep it simple. Low-tech is always something special because it's a very large reality. However, simplicity is important. It's something we need to achieve in our model. We are not a company selling audio-electronic audios. We want to place creativity at the very heart of the child. Therefore, it needs to open up the different business models. We do not offer something the same. Thierry, we were talking about local. Could you tell us a couple of examples of actions you've supported? You said earlier that it was a conference in Lens around the transformation of society. Yes, let me just say something around Anaïs. Related to the cost, related to the costs, as Anaïs said, the long-term cost and short-term cost. the responsible act for the environment and the society provides business opportunities for a company. Let me tell you an example. Here, for instance, we have 350 events here in this place, thousands of meals. I'm the president of the structure here, Cité des Échanges, and I'm following the CSR criteria, and we asked them, the customers, what kind of label would you like, B Corp or what? No, that's not what we're interested in. We want to be able to calculate the footprint of a meal. A footprint of butter is much higher than the footprint of a fish or a chicken. We need to be conscious of that. I'm not saying we should not eat beef, continue to eat beef, but we could maybe change our consumption, and this is an approach we follow now. We want to be the first event site to say, I have a lot of menus to present you, and one is zero carbon. Right, let me come back to your questions. Yes, we need to keep the emotion around meals. Emotions is a driver for change. Otherwise, I would eat beef every day. No, there is a lot of emotion. Right. We are committed on a lot of notions. We are a dotation fund. It's on specific subject, inclusion, creativity. We think that cultural creativity and an open mind for culture and art, painting, cinema, is important because it provides creativity for the company. If you shut down this type of reflections, you will only be looking at your business. You won't be able to change, and you will just do always as you've done, and then it will be the end. So what we helped is to create a structure at the Cato University. It's Lambert Creatif. It mixes entrepreneurship by the students and the creativity, because you can do some music, can do some sewing, painting, and video. These elements we support. Then there are other fields like that might be more specific, but open the mind, because smiling contributes to opening the mind. It's a festival called Hilarious. It exists since 2 years. The third one will take place here. The founder of the Mountain Comedy Club in Montreux, in Swiss, that wants to settle down here to create the hub for the Festival of Laughing. They will stay here long term in order to be an open hub that will enable to create festivals in the whole world. I am convinced that the capacity to laugh, and we did it with the MEDEF president, a club to laugh, because sometimes you need to get out of your business and read and laugh a lot, and then you feel much better afterwards to launch a new initiative. These are the type of things we support. Let me come back to a big emotion we had. Emotion, how shall I say, can change things a lot. We had the Corona crisis, and here we have the big Lille committee. The vice president of the Lille University had a speech and called the entrepreneurs via Visio, and then he told them, I have a problem. It's probably the same subject as others. I'm called as students. I asked for a report, and it's not a report, it's just text messages. And he said, that's the only thing I can do because I don't have a computer, I don't have internet. Why I'm saying this, it was so emotional for the people that we launched Céline, what do you say? 12 associations or foundations? Who participated? Can you remember? 8 foundations who regrouped to launch a program called Polemka. It funded 37 associations in order to help students like him. It was a first goal. It was really the first time they did this together. So the vice president of the university, who felt the need of the students, completely changed the habits of those foundations. I am here for Side Invest. Why did we decide to invest in the RC Lens Football Club? It doesn't belong to the Qatar. It belongs to Geoffroy Augryon. Why did we decide to do so? Why it is linked with our discussion? First, when I was asked, football, no, thank you. They are completely crazy. It costs a lot. It's too much money. But then I was convinced because people told me and described a club with a foundation with an inclusivity goal. There is a lot of people that are poor. Poor people need hope, and if you have hope, you can move forward. Hope is very important. It's key. And this football club, it's very popular. 98% of seats are sold out. Concretely, the people really like this football club. You need to go once and look at the match, watch a match. It's just too great. It's really great emotions in a football arena. It's people who cry, who say their envy, their joy, their love to the region, to the area. It's very strong emotions. This is what I saw, and I understood this as a big emotional subject. It's a great attractivity for the area here. If you don't like your area, you will leave. So why should you stay here if you don't have your roots? Why should you stay here where you don't have positive feelings? And these positive feelings are nourished by emotions. This was our entry point. And there was another ambition. It's entertainment. And we have a huge chance here. We're very lucky. It's because we have competitive cluster and stakeholder economic clusters and companies very present in the culture, in the cinema, in the gaming, in the JCC. And they have really the capacity to grow in order to generate even more envy, dynamic, and activity for our region here. This is very positive. Personally, I'm from here. I'm very attached to the region here, and I want to make sure we show the strong points here. It's huge. A lot of people only see the bad weather and clouds and the former mines, but we have a capacity of creativity here, and really I want to enhance this, underline it, make the region more attractive via the region that this creativity will foster. Thank you very much. It was very inspiring. I would like to talk about the influence, the power influence of sportsmen and sportswomen in sports in general, in order to change the creativity and not to have private jets. I know that the Football Federation thinking around the testing, the train rather than the plane for shorter trips. It's weak signals that appear, and I hope that the RC Lens will be, football club will be going into the same direction. In sports, it's moving lots in the last month, and that's great. Would you like to add something, or can I just raise a bonus question? Annelies, would you like to add something before we ask for the questions from the room here? I hope it provoked emotions. I had the questions. I know that Thierry came with a book. Could you tell me whether you had a book or a movie or a site that provoked a lot of emotions for you and then that led to transition and to transformation? Would you like to say something?
C'est que je vous invite à aller au LAM.
Well, first of all, I invite you to go to the Modern Art Museum. There's an exhibition on Mohamed Bourissa, and he's actually exploring and reflecting the human being. And this exhibition is extremely interesting. And we will have also an exhibition on the Palais de Tokyo, in the Palais de Tokyo, on the same subject. So on our site you have reports, and I would also like to speak about the Art Center of Malakoff. Offered an exhibition called Cut Fluids, and during this exhibition actually cut water, electricity and gas. So actually this was a way to make people think and witness. We also had the witnessing of teams, because people had to change the way of working. So there was no Wi-Fi, for example, and so they had to change their way of working, their behavior, and they had to start to speak and communicate between each other. And actually, they notice this led to the change of behavior, not only when working, but also when going back home. Well, my last experience, it's when before every exhibition, we meet the artists. It's what we call the round table of artists. And it's a very powerful moment, because the artists meet between themselves, and during one evening, we learn to know the artists themselves and their profound convictions. And we're able to understand what made them create such artworks. And for example, artists explain to us what is their message, what they were willing to express through their artwork. And sometimes it drives you back to a scientific or philosophical research. And we found it's an event which is very powerful, because, for example, in an exhibition, you have the experience of the visitor, and so people like or don't like it. Then you have another vision. It's the exhibitor that actually brings its own point of view. And then you have the experience with the artist himself. And when you're able to have the three things, I think it's very powerful and very profound. So, Thierry, would you like to say a word? So I would like to speak about an event. So I supported a young people with my association, and it supports people having economical problems. And they have had, well, those young people have had very good results at school, and they would like to go to the university, and they're very good, but they don't have the right codes. And I spent 1.5 hours. I spent 1.5 hours with one of those young people. During 1.5 hours, I spoke about the notion of being not successful. And sometimes later, he said, maybe can you come to and meet me? I would like to introduce you my parents. So that was, I think, one of the best words. Then the book. Its book is called Renard, and it's dedicated to all the people that want to be consistent with their own identity, along with our culture and our education. Those people want to live in harmony with ourselves and other people. So René Rivès, it's Renard. It's called Fox. So Anaïs, maybe would you like to share something with us? Yes. The book I would like to speak about. It's a book that goes beyond its own environment, and actually in the forest of Gineglan. For those who don't know, it's some type of novel. You don't know how things happen, and you have two sisters living in the woods. And I found it very interesting, the vision of a complex life of our current lives. So it's a vision of life in a way. And what I was struck of during these days are the pictures of the hunger strike, and I'm quite struck about those people that just stopped eating and drinking. So I have an event, and I found very striking. And I was in Brussels with my children, and we experienced some climbing up to 20 meters high with my children. And actually, they enjoyed it very much. And it was a way to have culture and sport together with my children. So we have questions in the audience. I see many people raising their hands. Hello, and thank you very much for sharing your emotions. My questions goes to the Palais Tokyo. So you spoke about the exhibition of the Lamb Museum. What I notice is that a number of artists or institutions say they want to be ecological, but present artworks that are quite hermetic. And so I find it difficult for everyone to really understand the meaning of the artwork. And maybe we might be something to do about it, because you speak about ecology, but it's sometimes difficult for people to understand. Yes, this is a major stake, and making the link between artists and the people is one of the major stakes. So creativity must be in link with the public. In the Palais de Tokyo, we have creation and mediation going along together. And we have teams in the room when you come to the Palais de Tokyo, and you have a team of mediators that support you or answer your questions while you visit the exhibition. And they answer your questions on your questions on the artwork. And then we have a sharing space at the entrance in order to welcome you, to give you some introduction, a folder, so that you can understand the artworks. And there's another space which is in the center of the Palais de Tokyo. And here you can even put into practice sometimes your creativity. We spoke about emotions, and contemporary art is something you like, you dislike. Sometimes myself, I like or I dislike. Sometimes I just avoid something. But I know there's a team of mediators in the LAM. Maybe you didn't meet them, but one of the major roles of the institution is being able to mediate. And then there's the complete freedom of the visitor, because he can decide whether he likes it or not. So the results are not always guaranteed. And yes, another question. Another question on the way we create emotion, because emotions can be either positive or negative. And when we speak about emotions on crucial subjects such as social transition, ecology, etc., there we speak about people that are disgusted, people that are angry, and so in the end, how do you inscribe art in this process in order to provoke a positive emotion and not a negative emotion? Thank you. That makes me think about Cyril Dion, who thinks that on TV or in the cinema we should watch more positive images. Maybe Marie-Aude would like to say something. Well, I would like to answer by an example. The exhibition we have is made with masks, and coming sometimes, some of them come from the COVID period. And instead of screaming, she transformed it in an artwork using poetry and creation. And when you look at the artwork, it's like a cube. It's like getting into the ocean, and there you can imagine many things. And so a negative things, a cry for anger is something that was transformed in something very poetic. So actually the artist is the link between that. So I would like to answer to what you were asking. So the artist should be able to onboard and allow us to act. Sometimes I find that this is what is lacking in order to have people, to be able to involve people. And the same is for sport. We need to have successful and successive actions, because actually they create a positive movement. Thank you very much for this comment. And so we need to increase visiting art or the contact with art. Yes. I have two things to say. First, a personal emotion. I think that being angry has different sources, either personal or sometimes it's a result of an emotion. But the way we express angriness depends on the people and how he chooses to express it. And here, art could be one of them. Then the experience that Thierry wanted to share with us, I also deal very often with figures. And sometimes I kind of evaluate and assess humans in order to see if they're good enough. And I read a book last summer of someone that everyone knows, and he say, and the name is François Cheng. And when we have read the other books of the same author, we are able to perceive the intimacy with nature. And of course, we have a speaker who is connected remotely, and she was saying that the five senses were necessary. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm Paul. I'm owner of a company, and yesterday we experienced a number of emotions, and 10 years ago we had to start working with robots, and we were not able to work just as craftsmen, and in a way we were forced to yesterday evening we analyzed 10 years with numerical robots, and actually we were celebrating an event, and actually we were looking back, and in the end we said we noticed we were very proud, and this proudness was an emotion. And this emotion, we had this emotion because we were proud to be successful. Do you have other questions? to address to one of the speakers? Yes, at the back. Here's the microphone. Hello, my name is Amaury. I have a question for the people from the museums. Is a theme like economy and environment, is it something that the artists want to tackle spontaneously, or it's more you asking them to work on that? So do you think that economy and environment are one of the themes they want to work on? Well, as for myself, as art gallery, we want to have quality artwork. And actually, we don't want to give an impulse to the artist. So what the artist wants to express must come from the bottom of his heart. And we choose what could be inclusion, ecology, or something else. And more and more artists are actually asking themselves that question. And how they can produce better, what kind of material they can use, or how can they lower their impact through their production, and what other positive action they can do. And we see that this becomes more and more a preoccupation for them. Well, actually, we see there's an interest of the artists towards ecology and the related themes. So they try and look other ways of expressing. And we prepared this exhibition, which was called Reclaim the Earth. And we dealt with the human being. Then it's not like making an order. And we tackle many other subjects. And at the moment, for example, you have an exhibition which is about love and the way to communicate with the person we love. And we think that it's a very important subject. Then we don't make an order to an artist, but we have a number of artists which is interested in those subjects. And we also work with a company which is actually offering some training. And for example, for eco-design, we have many artists asking themselves how they can improve their artwork and what kind of materials they can use. Maybe another last question? Hello. The question is open to everyone. I co-founded a company in IT. I'm convinced of emotion and the impact of emotion in the company. I would like to know how do you see emotions in your company, but as a step for the company? We have the onboarding of our employees, we have the feeding, we have the decision makers, and from your experience, what are the examples where culture and emotions are taken into account? I need, in a way, to be inspired. Well, actually, it's anytime. Well, you need emotion to start a company. You need emotion to onboard your team. You need emotion when you offer your first product. So there's not a key moment. I think that emotion is everywhere, and it really gives the real meaning. If you don't feel any more emotion about your project, then stop it. And for example, I think that beyond each problem, each issue you may meet, in my team, we really believe in the project, and we are really emotional about that. There's an emotion about the children, and we feel any emotion towards the parents because they're happy. So emotion is everywhere. Well, of course, emotion will not always be positive, but if you don't feel any emotion, it means that the project is not strong enough. Emotion is anywhere. And how can you put it into practice? I'm convinced that I have enough emotions, but how can I communicate this emotion to other people? That makes me think to the president of the CAMIF, and he asked an artist to that put some sellotape on the pavement in order to show the path for each function, like human resources or finance, and actually that led to people meeting much more than they used to be. Maybe Thierry, you would like to add something? It's a question which is not easy, but you have some elements that can be graphical or musical. Well, I know you, and I'm convinced that you're able to communicate your emotions. But apart from that, we feel that we were able to communicate emotions, and you see that in their eyes when you ask them something. When you are in a meeting with your teams and they look at you because they want to, they're willing to do something, it means that you were able to communicate your emotions. And I organized an event, an event with 90 people last week, and actually we could feel the emotion of people. And François was speaking about a community, speaking about the RC Lens, the football team. And what is important is to reinforce the emotion. And once in a while, it always happens to wake up in the morning and say, well, I'd like to stay 1 more hour in bed. And actually, well, people, each other, we don't communicate, but I give emotion. This is what I feel. So we are getting to the conclusion of this round table. We hope we were able to communicate many emotions in the room. So thank you to you all.